Eliud Kipchoge and the Breaking 2 Project, a philosophical documentary narrative on the power of positive thinking in the history of sports and humanity. Prologue: When numbers become myths. Human culture has always been defined by magical numbers. The 4-minute mile, the 10-second 100-meter dash, the 2-meter high jump. For the longest time, each of these figures was seen as an absolute limit. They became more than just arithmetic, they transformed into metaphysical boundaries. People said, "It's impossible. The human body can't handle it." In the 20th century, these impossibilities fell, one after another. But one final frontier remained, considered the last bastion: running a marathon in under 2 hours. 26.2 miles. 120 minutes of non-stop running. To break this barrier, an athlete would have to maintain an average pace of 2 minutes and 50 seconds per kilometer. Every single minute, every single step, for 2 hours straight. Physiologists insisted the human body was simply not built for it. The limitations were too great: lung capacity, lactic acid production, muscle wear and tear, glycogen depletion. And yet, in 2019, Eliud Kipchoge proved a simple truth. It's not about the legs, it's about the heart and the mind. Next part, a history of limits. To understand the symbolism of the 2-hour marathon, one must recall the story of Roger Bannister. In 1954, he ran a mile in under 4 minutes, a barrier considered unbreakable for decades. When he did it, the world was stunned. Within a year, dozens of other runners had also broken the barrier. Human physiology hadn't changed. Their psychology had. This was the first great lesson. A positive mindset can literally rewrite the body's capabilities. The birth of a marathon myth. The marathon is a discipline shrouded in a unique mythology. It stands apart from other athletic endeavors, not merely measured in minutes and seconds, but in centuries of legend, pain, and transcendence. Its founding myth, born from the dust of ancient Greece, tells of the warrior runner Phidippides, who ran from the field of Marathon to Athens, delivered a single word, victory, and collapsed, his life extinguished by the effort. This foundational act established the marathon not as a sport, but as a parable, a metaphor for life itself, where the greatest triumph is inextricably linked with the ultimate sacrifice. This legend has forever haunted the footsteps of every marathoner. From the amateur grappling with their first 42 kilometers to the elite athlete chasing glory, the ghost of Phidippides runs alongside them. The marathon is never just a race. It is a journey into the deepest recesses of the human spirit. It is a deliberate confrontation with suffering, a voluntary embrace of hardship undertaken to discover what lies beyond the point of breaking. The distance itself is arbitrary, a number settled upon by modern Olympic committees, yet it has proven to be a perfect measure of human endurance. It is long enough to strip away all pretense, to reduce the runner to their most essential self, a mind willing a body forward long after every instinct screams to stop. In this purgatory of asphalt and fatigue, running transforms from a physical act into a philosophical quest. It becomes a metaphor for perseverance, for the quiet, stubborn heroism of continuing when every reason to do so has vanished. It is within this rich context of sacrifice and overcoming that the quest to break the 2-hour barrier must be understood. For decades, this chronological milestone existed not on stopwatches, but in the realm of the impossible, a mythical frontier, akin to a 4-minute mile before Roger Bannister, but amplified by the marathon's profound symbolic weight. The 2-hour mark was more than a record. It was a line drawn in the sand by human limitation itself. It was a challenge to our very nature, a question posed to generations of athletes. How far can we go? How much can the human body, this fragile vessel of flesh and bone, be pushed? The attempt to conquer this barrier was a battle on 2 fronts. On one hand, it was a feat of sheer physiological engineering. It required a pace of under 2 minutes and 51 seconds per kilometer, sustained for 2 hours, a velocity that seemed to demand a superhuman cardiac output, metabolic efficiency, and resistance to fatigue. Scientists and coaches became alchemists, experimenting with nutrition, biomechanics, and aerodynamics. They devised intricate pacing strategies using teams of elite runners as a phalanx against the wind, much like cyclists in a peloton. The shoes themselves evolved into marvel of technology, with advanced foam and carbon plates creating a synergistic effect that returned energy once lost to the road. This was a full-scale assault on the limits of performance, a testament to human ingenuity. Yet, on the other hand, the sub-2-hour marathon remained a psychological and almost spiritual conquest. The myth of the marathon is built on the idea of the lone hero battling overwhelming odds. Could this ancient ideal survive in an era of hyperscience and calculated strategy? The successful breach of the barrier did not diminish the myth, it transformed it. It proved that the human spirit, when armed with both primordial will and the tools of modern knowledge, could redefine the possible. The athlete who finally achieved this feat was not a god, but a man who had mastered the same suffering that claimed Pheidippides. He did not collapse at the finish line. He crossed it with arms raised, a new myth for a new age. His victory was not one of life over death, but of potential over dogma. Thus, the marathon continues to evolve, its mythos expanding with each generation. The 2-hour barrier, once an insurmountable wall, is now a beacon, guiding the next wave of runners. But the essence of the challenge remains unchanged. The distance still asks the same fundamental questions. The wall of pain, encountered around the 30-kilometer mark, still stands as the true opponent. The marathon endures because it is more than a race. It is a story we tell ourselves about courage, about our desire to touch the horizon of our capabilities, and about the beautiful, agonizing price of glory. It is the perpetual birth of a myth, reborn with every pounding heart and every weary step taken on the long road from marathon. Next part, Kipchoge the philosopher. Eliud Kipchoge was born in Kenya in 1984. His path is one of discipline and quiet focus. Unlike many athletes, he never cultivated a star persona. His creed is, self-discipline is the highest freedom. Kipchoge speaks about running as a philosophy. For him, the marathon is a mirror of life. On the course, there is joy, pain, crisis, and hope. And it all comes down to an internal choice, to give up or to keep going. Coaches note that Kipchoge's greatest weapon is not his muscles, but his mind. He can maintain a smile even when his body is screaming in pain. His psyche is built around the principle, no human is limited. This mindset makes him an example not only for runners but for philosophers, psychologists, and anyone facing their own 2-hour barriers in life. Next part, the Breaking 2 Project. In 2017, Nike launched the Breaking 2 Project. 3 runners, including Kipchoge, would attempt to break the 2-hour mark on a specially prepared course. Everything was calculated: a flat track, on-the-go nutrition, a team of pacemakers, and ultralight gear. This was not just a marathon, it was a laboratory experiment. Kipchoge finished in 2 hours and 25 seconds. He didn't achieve the goal, but he came so close that the world understood. The barrier was cracking. The symbolism of almost. Those 25 seconds became more important than any record. They showed that the impossible was no longer out of reach. The number 2 hours ceased to be a mystical wall. The psychology of athletes worldwide shifted in that moment. Next part, INEOS 159, the moment of truth. On October 12, 2019, the INEOS 159 challenge was held in Vienna. Every detail was optimized for Kipchoge. Perfect weather, a flat, looping course, 41 pacemakers rotating in shifts, an electric car projecting a laser line with the perfect pace. Critics argued this wasn't a pure marathon, but an experiment. Kipchoge responded, "I want to show what a human being can do." This is where the philosophy of support shone. The pacemakers weren't just runners, they were a moving shield, creating a psychological bubble for Kipchoge, a sensation that he was not alone. Every time he saw the sleek V formation around him, his brain received a signal. You are not sinking, you are being carried. This was a living metaphor for how hope functions within a team. Support multiplies an individual's strength. 1 hour, 59 minutes, 40 seconds. History was rewritten. Kipchoge was smiling on the final kilometers. His words at the finish line: "This shows no human is limited." Next part, the physiology of hope. Scientists confirm that psychology directly influences running physiology. When the brain is confident that something is possible, it regulates breathing, heart rate, and energy expenditure differently. This is known as the psychobiological model of endurance. The brain acts as a central governor, either hitting the brakes at the first sign of threat or allowing the body to tap into hidden reserves. Positive thinking and belief are not abstract concepts. They are real biochemical factors. Every one of Kipchoge's training sessions strengthened his brain, forging new neural pathways. I can endure more. Over time, this becomes a habit, and habit becomes destiny. Next part, the philosophy of 2 hours. Ancient philosophers said that boundaries exist only in the mind. The 2-hour barrier was precisely that kind of boundary. It existed only as long as people believed in it. Kipchoge shattered not just a number, but the very idea of impossible. This project became an example of hope on a macro level. It wasn't just Kipchoge's personal achievement. It was an act for all of humanity, proving we are capable of more than we think. Next part, lessons for life. 1. Psychological barriers are more real than physical ones. 2. The support of a team multiplies an individual's strength. 3. Positive thinking alters your physiology. 4. Every person has their own marathon to run. Epilogue: beyond time. Eliud Kipchoge became more than a runner. He became a symbol. His smile on the final kilometer is the smile of a man who proved the impossible is possible. He became what heroes become in myths, a guide across a frontier. And in that lies the highest meaning of positive thinking. It does not deny pain or remove difficulty. It simply takes a step where others see a wall. I truly hope these ideas will inspire you on your own path of discovery. If you know someone who would find this perspective valuable, please share this video with them. And to make sure you don't miss what's next, subscribe and join me for the upcoming videos.